Okay. It is 7 o'clock, and so the November 9th, 2021 regular meeting of the Planning Commission is called to order. Ms. Grover, call the roll, please.
Mr. Slaughter?
Here.
Ms. Height?
Here.
Mr. Wagner?
Here.
Mr. Greenwood?
Here.
And Mr. Breeden?
Here, thank you very much. At this time, we need to review and adopt the meeting agenda. Has everyone had a chance to take a look at it? And does anybody want to make a recommendation or have any changes?
Mr. Chair, if I may, I would like to make a motion that we change item 6, public hearing, to remove public hearing from that item and instead substitute a review of the zoning action Z0221, which was tabled at our prior meeting.
Okay.
In addition, if I'm,
Go ahead. Is that it or anything else?
you want to do one at a time?
Well, no, we need to adopt the meeting agenda. So if you have
Well,
other changes,
I have another item I want to make a motion to amend.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I would also like to make a motion to amend item 8, new business, to change from none to add review and discussion of future land use and future land use maps.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other additions or changes to the meeting agenda? Anybody? So we have a motion to modify section item 6A to consider the zoning application. It's not a public hearing, and to add a new business item review of the future land use map and land use. What else?
Future land use and future land use
The
maps.
future land use map. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion properly seconded. All in favor of approving the amended agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all very much. At this time, we'll consider the minutes of the October 5th, 2021 regular meeting. Has anyone had a chance to take a look at the draft minutes? And do we have any changes? Well, if there are no changes, I would entertain a motion to approve the October 5th meeting minutes.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes for October 5th.
We've got a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second?
A second.
We've got a motion properly seconded. All in favor of approving the October 5th, 2021 minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all. The next item up is the public comment period. Speakers have an opportunity of 3 minutes per individual or 5 minutes per group on non-public hearing matters. As we have no public hearings, any planning matter, y'all can speak to any planning matter. So at this time, I will open up the public comment period. Ms. Grover, is there anyone online that wants to speak?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I just know that it came in the last meeting. I don't believe that was read into the minutes at the last meeting.
We just approved. Well, if there's, is there no one that wish to speak in public comment period? If not, I will close the public comment period. So how do y'all want to handle that? That we've already approved the minutes. Let's see.
Because that's we.
So this is related to the matter tonight.
Yes.
So how do y'all want to handle it? This was the Davenport, letter that was written.
We could read that when we, if we don't want to go in the public comment period, we could read that and discuss that item under item 8.
As I recall, we
Under
had,
item 6.
as I recall, we had some folks, we have anybody speak?
No.
Okay.
No, we had one speaker, I believe. That wasn't the one who spoke.
Mhm. Rather, it was read at the meeting last month. I'm not sure we have need to reread it again tonight, but I'll be happy to.
If it was read, it was read. I guess it was read.
Yes, it was.
Okay. It was
I
read.
believe, wasn't
And then we did read one. I'm not sure if it's that one.
Wasn't put in the meeting minutes.
It's not, it's not reflected in the minutes.
All right, well, that's going to save that for, that particular item on the agenda then, which is coming up pretty quick. In fact, it's coming up right now. So the next item up on the meeting is the consideration of the zoning application for C02-21 for Mr. Adams, tabled from the October 5th meeting. Mr. White, if you want to go ahead. And if you take the mask off, it's also it's easier to hear. Take my mask off. And then after he reads the letter, if you would address the commission with any changes since the last meeting.
This is a letter that was submitted prior to the October meeting from Linwood and Valjean Davenport at 34 Woodland Lane, Manheim, Virginia. We are writing in response to the September 27, 2021 letter from your office notifying the current owner of tax map 1928, Steve Adams Incorporated, has applied to request a change in zoning or zoning designation from AC to RR to allow him to build 1 to 2 new homes on the 7.15 acre parcel. We are against this initiative. We built our home in a neighborhood, or in a somewhat secluded area just off Andrews Mill Road in 1983 for the peace and tranquility the location offered us. In just under 2 years, we have seen 4 new homes built within less than an eighth of a mile from us along our stretch of Andrews Mill Road. This is already too many for such a short span of road. The zoning ordinances are designed for a purpose. If everyone were able to change a flat's zoning to suit their desires, in this case, a building contractor that wants to build at least 2 houses, which requires a minimum of 5 acres from each AC, there would be no need for ordinances at all. While we realize we probably can't stop one home from being built, we cannot and do not support more than one. We thank the members of the Planning Commission and the Office of Community Development for their consideration. Signed, Linwood and Valjean Davenport.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner. Ms. Grant, do you have anything either new or clarifications from our meeting in October?
There were a few things that came up at the October 5th meeting. So I tried to do a little research and get those addressed. And one was the old ordinance versus the new ordinance in the RR rural residential district. The lot size remained the same at 3 acres, the setbacks remained the same. There was no change from the old to the new. And under the RR, he would only be able to divide it one time into 2 parcels if this is to go through into RR. Another thing that was brought up was the use of the Woodland road access on the lot. And I did do a little research. And if you can pull up the PowerPoint, the entrance to Woodland Road is actually on Mr. Adams' property. And the 50-foot easement for Woodland Road actually should have been on the other parcel, but the entrance is on Mr. Adams' side of the property.
Which one did you want me to go to share?
Go ahead and
Keep going.
That's just a aerial on the GIS showing all the lots in the vicinity of this. The blue depicts the RR.
Okay.
So this is the plat, what he is proposing, and he is showing that 25-foot right of way that he plans to use for both of his both lots. He only wanted to do one entrance if that was okay. But you can see that the road is on his side, and then it cuts through and goes over. Okay. And that is the entrance there. So here are the two plats, one that shows his 25-foot, and then the other one, it shows the 50-foot that shows it was supposed to all be on the adjacent property, but it's not. And I think y'all have seen all the pictures that we had the last time. So. And once again, staff recommends this for the reason that everything in that vicinity is about an acre, with the exception of a few. And then across the street, of course, is all agricultural. And Mr. Adams is here if you have any questions for him as well.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Graham.
Mr. Chair, if I may, as Ms. Graham pointed out, the actual roadway for the Davenport property is on Mr. Adams' property. The easement that you mentioned is a permanent exclusive easement for the Davenport and other property owners behind that. It is obvious when you look at it that the actual road going into what is called
Woodland.
that road is actually has been on what was the McPherson property ever since it was built. And that's evident because of the large trees that there's no way the road could have been built through that area. There are issues with the fact that the road has been used. However, that's an issue that if we approve this, and this is going to have to be worked out between Mr. Adams and Davenport. But I did want to point that out and make it clear that that could be a problem. That's all I have right now.
Further discussion.
Can we go back to that picture that showed Valjean's property, because it looked like theirs was only about an acre too.
Yes.
It's, I don't have the
Oh.
list in front of me,
Right.
but it's in the packet.
Oh.
As to what the acreage is.
Oh, last month's package.
Ah.
It's been an acre.
That's what it looked like on the.
As are all the lots along the road.
Before, right?
Well, some are, some of them are.
I think all the ones.
There's maybe a little larger, the one right behind it is 4.09.
Yeah, as you face the property. all
The
around,
one that has,
right,
two different plans.
left or-
Good. Back the other way.
So,
And that's what I think.
Yeah, that showed it.
One more. There we go. No, that one up there shows the property in the back, the 4.409.
Yeah, the one
But
in
then,
front.
yeah, his, I think they're on the corner, but it doesn't give you what the acreage is on that. It was about an acre.
The one in the front does not show the acreage.
does that answer your question, Mr. Greenwood?
I was just curious. Like I said, he's not planning to put 1 acre parcels in there. Showed that he's only going to split it up into, I thank him for showing us an actual plot. I guess Mr. Bagan will like that for the site plan. It shows exactly what he's going to do. But if we can put that, if we go forward, if you could put that in there, just say that he has to stick to that if we're worried about him not doing it. That would be something I would put as a condition, I guess.
Well, both of the parcels are larger than the majority in that area. One is 3 point. One's 4 and one is 3.15 acres.
For 3.15.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, my concern is, the density along that road already with 1 acre parcels. The density is far greater than it should be, but that was allowed back at the time of these not play. Except those last 4, and I'm not sure when they were planted. I think that might be the Pollard may be a family division, I'm not sure. But the 2003 comprehensive plan spoke strongly against limiting the development along in the rural areas of the county and looking at doing something. Unfortunately, nothing was ever done to change the ordinance other than the fact that we got rid of 1 acre parcels and went to a 3 acre. But my objection is just the density of the development along that road.
Ms. Height, Mr. Sluter, any thoughts, either questions from Ms. Grant or things you want to share with the commission? Sluter. So Ms. Grant, the application will allow just the 1 road, at most 1 road from the property. Is that correct? Or is that a condition we can add?
We really can't add a condition on the rezoning,
Right.
but you can approve the plat as submitted.
Well, he does have a 25-foot
Right.
easement.
So,
And based on that 25-foot easement, he can access both parcels.
Right.
You, under a single lot division, 25 feet is the minimum that's required.
so is that included, so if we recommend approval of the rezoning tonight, what does that mean? Does he have the ability to put in 2 driveways in addition to what's already there, or?
Well, he was proposing to use that,
Okay.
with that
So
25.
that's in his application.
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. And again, it's only 1 driveway, but multiply that times the next one, and one after that, it gets to be a fair number. One of the things we need to do going forward is, we've got the future land use map and we've got the zoning, and where we have rural residential spread throughout the county, do we lock in the existing lines? Do we look at extending it beyond the lines? In this particular application, there are smaller lot sizes on both sides. It is beautiful agriculture across the street, but the one side is zoned RR and the other side, Maple, is zoned RR, since they're all smaller than 5 acre lots. And so for that reason, I plan to vote to recommend approval, but that's just me. Further discussion?
I certainly understand there's a concern for keeping the rural integrity of the county, especially in areas such as this. In this case, and certainly in other cases where we might have a proposed zoning change where in RR butts up against it and they see it, I think they're just simply need to be taken case by case. And when I look at this, I see properties that are stacked with one entrance from the main road. It appears to be about 3/4 wooded from what I can tell by that. So the wood line.
Yeah,
and-
on the first lot, that line up there would be the woods.
Right. So you're talking, you're probably not going to see the second house from the road. I feel like it does preserve the rural integrity of the area, and it is in character with the lot sizes around it. So, that being said, I'd be in favor as well.
Further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say thank you to Mrs. Graham and her staff for the additional clarification as well.
Okay. Then I'll entertain a motion one way or the other to recommend approval or recommend not.
Chairman, I'll make a motion, we recommend approval of this.
Okay, we have a motion to recommend approval. Do we have a second? We got a second. Ms. Berger, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Height,
Aye.
Mr. Wagner,
Nay.
Mr. Greenwood,
Aye.
Mr. Sluter,
Aye.
and Mr. Breeden.
Aye. Thank you very much. The recommendation has been made. Okay, the next item is the unfinished business comprehensive plan update. Ms. Graham, you're up again.
So we have a work session scheduled for November 30th. I do not have anything yet to give to you, but as soon as I get it from Edie, I will be forwarding it to you so you can take a look at it. Sounds like it's going to be a good document. I did not get the information on the survey from her either, but hopefully we'll have a good work session and be able to go through that document. It's what we're looking at. I did give you all the future land use maps and the zoning maps to take a look at. I guess we want to do that under new business. So we can maybe get started on that a little bit and have some ideas that we could do at the work sessions as well.
Questions from Ms. Graham?
She said November 30th at 7.
Yes. Unless y'all want to have make it earlier.
Can work out what day is it? Got it.
Wait 1 second. I think it's a Tuesday, but I'm
Oh,
positive.
no, I don't want to.
Well, this is the 9th, so it'll be 21 days from tonight. So-
Tuesday.
Okay, so questions from Ms. Graham? So she will have the draft plan and the draft future land use map plan as well, or just the comp plan?
No, just a comp plan. So,
And did she give you any idea when she'd be getting that to you? Because something that massive, we would need at least a week to review it.
she
I'd like
knows that
more.
we need it ahead of time, so I don't think it'll be very long. I should be getting it soon. And I will get it to y'all as soon as we get it, to give y'all a chance to review it ahead of time.
This will just be the planning commission itself.
Just the planning commission and this one, after we look at it and we're comfortable with it, and then I think we can incorporate the EDA and the board of supervisors.
After we.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. All right, next item is number 8, new business review of the future land use map and whatnot. So Mr. Wagner has to hand that up for us.
May, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Wagner.
On the second page of the handout, I handed you is the proposal by David Hill for development of future land use. This proposal has the advantage of allowing the planning commission staff and the board to create 4 separate zones for the development of the county and would enable us to provide different zoning districts or uses for each of the zones in order to enhance and protect the unique resources of each zone. For instance, the central zone, which runs along Route 360, would provide the availability of water, sewer, broadband, and natural gas to serve major residential, commercial, and industrial development, and provide the opportunity to obtain VDOT funding to serve new and expanding development. For the legacy and Kings Forest zones, we can concentrate on the preservation of the rural farm and forest lands, waterfronts, and historic resources, while allowing a mix of residential development that serves the needs of the rural areas without diminishing the open spaces and the natural beauty of those areas. We have discussed the development of a mixed-use village concept for the central garage area, as well as the courthouse village area. We will need to determine what zoning is appropriate for this village concept and develop standards of development to assure a mix of development that will meet our goals of improving our tax base and providing jobs that will help us to keep our citizens employed within the county and provide alternate shopping choices so that our citizens will shop within the county. That's just a kind of an opening into what we need to deal with. But Sherry, Mr. Raymond has provided you all with zoning maps. There small and difficult to read. But, Mr. Braden, I'll let you take over, but basically I think we will be looking at the current zoning maps and the current future land use map. And in looking at these, you may need to use kind of this street map as a cross reference to kind of get an idea where these boundaries are or should be. And just one more comment, and I'll let you. But when we're looking at the boundaries of the zones of the districts, the AAR, R1 and so forth, when we're looking at the boundaries for all of those, if you use the streets as the boundary, then you've got business on one side and agricultural on the other side. My suggestion would be we would look at the back property line of the street, of the properties on the other side of the street that we might be following, or at least a 500 or 600 foot distance from that street, so that we've got light development on both sides of the street. And with that,
Other comments? If I may, then let's y'all, I'll speak for just a moment or two. So normally you would do a comprehensive plan first, and then you would do the zoning ordinance to support that comp plan. The good news is you got the finished proof, thank you again, Ms. Graham, zoning ordinance that was in effect October 27th, I think, was pretty. And the comprehensive plan will probably give us some good ideas, make some additional changes to the ordinance to support that comprehensive plan. But I want to share with you all one thing, the maps we received from Ms. Graham. We have in the ordinance just approved AC districts, rural residential, which we'll talk about tonight, and then higher density, and we have various business districts. On the future land use map, however, we have high density residential, medium density residential, and urban residential. 3 different types of residential, but yet we only have 2 in the ordinance. Do we need to add additional districts? Or in fact, should the future land use map only reflect those ordinance, those zoning districts we currently allow in the ordinance? At last month's meeting, we approved a spot zoning that led me to wonder, do we have enough B2 land? Because they were rezoning agriculture B2 in an area next to residential. Do we have enough B2? Because why they have to go to that one spot? Because that impact the neighbors in a negative way that was unnecessary. So again, as we go forward with our work, and Mr. Webber, thank you for bringing that up, and thank you, Ms. Graham, for maps tonight. What is the best use of the land in King County? What the citizens want to see, what the supervisors want to see, and then how can we congeal all that together in the best future land use map, the best comprehensive plan we can. So again, be looking at the future land use as it's currently listed. I'm looking forward to seeing what the Hill Group comes up with. The zoning map is kind of hard to see. I think at some point we may need to have an enlarged section along the 360 corridor, maybe even broken down by the individual plat, by the individual parcels.
What I will do, before the next meeting, I'll get you a large copy of the street maps, and I'll probably give you large copies of each of those. The zoning map and.
This size.
We'll put it on the big printer.
Very good.
The 4 areas, the Kings Forest, Carson, Legacy, and West Point areas. It might be a good idea to have a map of each of those areas that we can pour into.
Break it down. in
So
the 4
each one,
areas.
yeah, each one individually.
I think what we need to do is look, I mean, that's sort of general the way he's talking about right now. But I think we need to really look at the existing land use map and see how we want to expand that, and then we can break it out. I don't think be a little difficult to break those 4 zones out right now until we take a hard look at the existing commercial and industrial uses.
But along the same lines, we had a situation tonight where we were enlarging a district. And so I think it would behoove us to where we have commercial, industrial, so forth and so on, apply our best vision for how it should look. Then when a case like this comes up, it's very easy to go, oh, yes, it's within that district, we should recommend approval, or, oh, no, it's outside that district, we should recommend denial. We had talked before, and it's been a while, we had talked before about with the future land use map, where we identify commercial, where things we think should be commercial, and getting the EDA involved, and they're in agreement that these areas should be commercial, so forth and so on, approaching the landowners to say, hey, if you'd like to rezone this land right now, the county will initiate this rezoning. Having land already zoned for the use for which it's intended makes it easier for businesses to come here. Because the land's already been zoned the way they used to have it, and then it's just a matter of which use to allow that zoning. And so it's a lot easier for businesses to come here. The landowners who did not want to rezone, that's fine. If they want to rezone later on, they pay the fee and they go through the whole process. So these are the sorts of questions that I think we need to be looking at in conjunction with the future land use map and with this new ordinance in place. Thoughts, ideas?
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Go ahead.
To a large extent, I agree with what you're saying about on ahead and rezoning the property now, but then if we do that, we run into the same issue that we've had in the past, is once that's rezoned, they can do anything on that property that's allowed. So it takes away a little bit of our management of development.
It does.
And I'm not sure how to approach that or how to deal with that, but we need to look at that and think hard about that. Do you have any suggestions, Mr. Brown?
Well, that's just like, the rezoning that was approved recently. I mean, it was, rezoned for business. If that business moves out, any business that is permitted in B1 can go in there. So they're in the TCO, so they have to meet all the TCO regs, but
But now,
if it's permitted by right,
yeah,
the business
now,
can go in.
now under the new ordinance for rezoning, we do require a concept plan.
We do.
And when we require the concept plan, we can put provisions of what it's done.
Right, and in that instance there, those areas we've identified as appropriate for B1, B2, industrial, whatever. We already we've already, I believe that for a rezoning, we could then require a concept plan. In that instance there, it wasn't in my vision, and maybe in y'all's, to spot zone that business at that place. We could, though, in the future, require a concept plan. We should require the concept plan and see that it's compatible. Although again, once it's been rezoned and they tear it down 20 years later, what latitude do we have? But anyway, these are all important issues. We do again have the ordinance under our belt, as good as it is with whatever flaws it has, we'll need to tweak. But the comp plan and the future land use map are coming up real soon. So y'all's work is not done. Our work is not done. Okay. Any other further comments? All right. And that being the case, I guess we're ready to move on to item 9, special reports and updates from staff. Ms. Grant or Ms. whoever's up.
Go ahead.
So you have
Could
the,
you, put your hands go? Especially for anybody, if we have anybody out there. So we do.
so you have before you the monthly zoning reports. We have the zoning permits that have been issued for the month of October, along with the violation log. and the breakdown of what zoning permits were actually approved for the month of October. And you also have before you, building department has been working very hard to get you the numbers of building permits that have been issued since we switched over to Edmonds. So you have the permits that have been issued since dating back to August, along with the inspections that they have performed, the new commercial permits that they've issued, the new dwellings, the certificate of occupancies that they've issued, and the number of building plan reviews that they've actually performed. Now, they're not able to break them down like I am on my side, and that's just the nature, again, of the software. So if you're wanting to look and see what the breakdown is, you'll have to look at the zoning reports to see what single family dwelling permits have actually been approved. And that's basically, it comes through zoning first before it's actually goes over to building. So that kind of gives you the idea. So you have the same typical zoning reports that I've been given to you. But in addition, this is what you'll see for the building side. Did you have any questions?
Okay, questions? Yeah. Mr. Wagner?
Thank you for putting that together, and it shows what I wanted to see, or for all of us to be able to see. Now, told some of you all that I have ridden around through these subdivisions recently, and just to look at all the new homes being developed, it blows your mind. What I wanted to point out was, when you look at the new dwellings, we have 78 new dwellings. You look at new commercial permits, we have 6. And I don't know how extensive those commercial permits are, if it was just a small shop or if it was a major development, major commercial or what. But that's a lot of people moving into this county, a lot of houses being built that are being taxed. But there's no commercial development because of the taxes that are collected on those properties aren't enough to pay the way. Has been pointed out recently in a couple of presentations. So it's a large discrepancy or issue there between the number of residential developments and the number of businesses that come into this county. And that sort of points out what the Hill Group pointed out to us at the last time they were here, that we have a huge amount of our businesses going outside of the county. And jobs are outside, a large amount of the jobs are outside of the county. So when we're looking at our future land use map and zoning and what we put where and what we can allow where, we need to take a look at getting that more in balance. We need to take a look at being able to develop properties so that we have jobs within those developments that people can use, that we have competition for drugstore, grocery store, whatever, that can bring or allow the people, citizens of this county, to shop within the county more than what they are now. So I just want to point out that we really need to take a hard look at those issues as we move forward. And we, as a planning commission, do have a responsibility to do everything we can to help that issue with keeping our taxes down. And we do need to work with the board of supervisors and the EDA in order to hopefully get the EDA to move forward with more involvement in trying to get the business administration in this county.
Thank you, Ms. Wagner. Other comments, questions?
I definitely second Mr. Wagner's comments. I think that's a very keen observation that we do need more businesses, dynamic commercial development to give our citizens here choices. For
Thank you, Mr. Sluter. I just have one question. On the violation report, can you kind of walk through what that report shows and how you know, what starts the process and what steps you go through?
So what actually starts the process is if we have a citizen or someone that calls in and has a concern. Or it may be a member of the board, it may be a member of the planning commission that says we have this concern, can we go out and take a look at it? And so at that point, we'll log it in the system, and then Andy, who is our inspector, will go out and take a look at it. If there is a violation, at that point, he may need to either go out and take a second look at it, depending on what it is. So you may see a second inspection in there. And if he finds that there is a violation, then we send a courtesy letter at that point. And we give them a certain amount of time to correct it. So we don't take a hard nose approach at that point.
If I could interrupt you, so what types of violations? This would be any violation of any section of the ordinance or just certain sections?
It's just certain sections of the ordinance that we deal with. So it would be a zoning violation, or it may be property maintenance. It could be, there's one in there that's a CDPA type violation. So it's just what our office deals specifically with.
Wouldn't your office deal with any violation of the zoning subdivision ordinance?
Of the zone, yes. Yes.
Okay. So I apologize, right? Indeed.
So what happens is we stay all the way through until the violation is corrected, or if it were to need to go to court. And then it will be closed out at that point.
Okay. And so it shows when so the start time would have been like October 26th, October 29th, and so forth and so on, correct?
Correct.
And then the resolution would show up as closed or?
It would, if it's actually been closed.
Okay. And I guess you have more detail in your database and in your software.
Yeah.
This is just kind of a columnar hitting the high points.
Yes.
So you have more, okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Further questions? Okay. Thank you very much. Our last item is planning commissioner comments. Mr. Sluter, I'll start with you.
I'd just like to say thank you to the ladies up on here for putting all this information together for us, and looking very much forward to our work session. I think we need to keep in mind for sure some of these areas where the pressure is going to be in the future, population wise, especially with the areas of Fredericksburg moving quickly south. We need to keep that in mind. And I do like the groups separation of the different districts and how, and obviously there's some fine tuning that needs to go on with that, but yeah, I would definitely like to see some community input on some of those areas as well. And hopefully we can get some feedback from community as we go forward.
First of all, I'd like to thank staff for all the hard work they've done. They have been overwhelmed here recently. And some point in time, we may need to work with them to look at trying to get the board to provide additional staff. By the way, do we have an environmental person on staff?
Andy Lewis is our ENS
Andy is
and property
our-
maintenance inspector.
But they have done a very good job in keeping up with what's going on. I'd like to thank our usual participation tonight, and thank you, Mr. Evans, for showing up, being available. We got a lot of work to move forward, and hopefully this kind of gets us started on looking at the zoning future land use map, or the comprehensive plan and future land use maps, and some very, very difficult decisions we've got to make. And so we make forward, and I do look forward to working with Bill when they come back in here. But they also need our ideas. They're gonna provide us with some good information, but we'll need to look at that information and give them ideas back. Finalize that.
Thank you, Mr. Lecter. Ms. Knight?
Reiterate some of the things that the other planning commissioners have said. Thank you to staff. Really appreciate all of the maps that you've provided, as well as the down copy of our updated zoning ordinance. And thank you to those who come out and support us in the meetings each month. And we do look forward to having more community involvement as we go forward into the comp plan and addressing the maps. I also just wanted to throw out and say, I think before we meet the next time, we'll have Veterans Day and Thanksgiving Day. So thank you for all those veterans that we have, and hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the current staff as well as Mr. Etter and the current planning commission along Ms. Rhodes for all their hard work on the ordinance, which we finally have approved in Unicode in our hot little hands. You can send me a PDF at some point if you're interested. I'd like an electronic copy. I find working with paper is best sometimes electronic is best, but it'd be good to have the updated ordinance. So thank you all for that. Thank you all for your good work. Spent a lot of hours on that thing. And we still have the comprehensive plan, which will hopefully steer us for years to come.
It's not this thick. So it's a little easier.
And with that, the meeting is adjourned. Yes.
Did you get still bring it?
Awesome. That's the one thing, just Mr. Greenwood, sorry about that. I was looking at you. Sorry about that.
Yeah. I just wanted to thank everybody also for coming. There's like a smaller group than we normally have, only one in the Zoom and a couple in the audience. And reiterate what all the other commissioners says. And I did have one sad note to mention to everyone, and this is relayed from Krista Cole. She's no longer with us. She has asked me to convey to all of you, my fellow board members, that she's truly wanted you all to know that she enjoyed working with each and every one of you on this board. Excuse me, and we'll miss you all dearly. She wishes the best for all of you in your futures. And I just wanted to put out there that I want to wish her the best of her future wherever she may end up. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Greenwood.
And I just real quickly wanted to let you know that you have several public hearings that will be coming up at your December 7th meeting. We have one for Macaulay Park for 120 townhouses. This was previously approved for apartments. So now they don't want to do the apartments, they want to do the townhouses, which is better for the county as far as the tax bracket goes. But that will be coming up. And Mr. Holmes will be coming back up for public hearings again. He's wanting to put 93 townhomes on one piece of property on Winchester, 7 townhomes on another piece of property on Winchester, and 23 townhomes at 1779 Union Loop Road. So all of those will be coming up in December.
Thank you, Mrs. Graham. Any further comments? If not, we are adjourned to our November 30th work session.